Hey there everyone. This is the first part of a two-part video that will teach you about how essay topics are worded. Essay topics are worded very carefully. When teachers write them for you, they're often modelling them off the topics used on the Year 12 VCE English exam. Because thousands of students across Victoria will see these topics, they're worded with great care. But there's a lot of information in these topics that you can use to help you write your essays. By analysing how the topics are worded, you can break down the topic and fully understand what it's expecting you to write about. Here we have an example of a topic that's been broken down using a key. The circling and the underlining and the arrows are all used to identify different elements of the topic that we need to focus on. So what's in a phrase? A lot, actually. There are 8 key elements that we can look for in a topic's wording. Today though, we're only going to be focusing on 5 of the most important ones. If you miss these ones, you can run into some major problems. So let's look at each in a little more detail. The most important element to look at is the idea words and the idea phrases. These indicate the ideas that your essay needs to explore. Texts, whether they're novels, films, poems, plays, whatever, are used by authors to share their ideas and to communicate their messages and their themes about those ideas. These ideas are almost always abstract. They're intangible, untouchable things that humans experience. We feel them, we think them, and we see people's actions and connect them together. But they're rarely concrete. There is usually more than one idea mentioned in a topic, and if there is, you need to write about how both of them are connected. If you write about them separately, you may as well write 2 different essays. So here on the left, we have a topic for I Am Malala. Malala is always courageous and resilient. Do you agree? Here, the ideas are expressed as adjectives, resilient and courageous. But they could have also been nouns, resilience or courage. In the second example on the right, we've got a topic for the book thief. Zuzak celebrates the power of words, but he also condemns it. Discuss. Here, words is our basic idea, but it appears in a phrase, the power of words. This is giving us more information to work with. We're not just thinking about any old words, we're thinking about words that have impact, that have some kind of power. Next, we have perspective words and perspective phrases. These frame the stance of the topic. And by this, I mean that these words are telling you how you're meant to think about the ideas. What perspective is being taken? Is it celebration? Is it criticism? Is the author condemning something, or are they warning us? Maybe they're praising something. When you see these words, you can challenge them and question the perspectives. A really good way to find them is to look out for the author's name and see if there's a verb that follows closely afterwards. Sometimes there won't be a really obvious perspective word, like with this Malala example. But in the book thief example, we see some really obvious ones. We've got 2 verbs, celebrates and condemns, and they follow straight after Zuzak's name. And we can even read the noun power as a perspective word, because the topic's already suggesting that in Zuzak's opinion, words have power. It can be really easy to go wild with these ideas though, which is why some topics use limiting words and phrases. These are sort of like the cones on the road when you drive through roadworks. They're there to guide you, but also to limit where you can and can't go. They aim to limit what you can write about or to qualify it in some way. But you should see these as opportunities to challenge the topic. In our Malala example, the limiting word is always. We need to ask ourselves, is Malala always courageous and resilient? Or are there times when she isn't? Limiting words often set extreme limits. They're words like always, never, every, no, impossible, and so on. And because extremes are often very difficult to prove, you should see these as a chance to say, whoa, 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 hold on. That's not entirely true. Malala is often courageous and resilient, yes, but not always. So it gives you space to challenge the topic. And this brings us to number 4, commas and connectives. These ones are pretty self-explanatory. They tell you how the ideas and other elements in the topic need to be connected together. But students often miss these, leading them to not exploring the whole topic. If you've ever had a teacher say you haven't fully answered the question, this might be one of the reasons. It's an extremely common problem. Students will read the topic, see some parts of it, but not fully recognize how those parts are related to each other. In our first topic, the word "and" is telling us that we need to address both ideas. We need to write an essay that talks about courage and resilience. If we only write about one, we haven't really answered the topic in full. In the second topic, we have a similar situation. Zusak celebrates the power of words, but he also condemns it. Here we need to pay attention to the meaning of the connective words. But is about contrasting these two parts of the statement, showing how they're different. Also implies that both are happening at the same time. So we need to explore how Zusak does both at the same time. How does he celebrate and how does he condemn words in the same book? And that brings us to our last one for today. Textual elements. Topics will usually tell you particular elements of the text to focus on. Things like characters, setting, plot events, and the language used by the author. The text itself, though, doesn't really count as a feature. Often, this is more about finding the features within the text. So if you see the name of the text, the title, referred to in the topic, you don't need to underline that, usually. With the Malala topic, it's all about the character. You still need to explore ideas, context, language, and all that other fun stuff, but you need to keep a consistent focus on this character. Any other characters you do choose to talk about need to be connected to Malala and her demonstrations of courage or resilience. With the book thief topic, the textual elements are sort of hinted at through reference to words. Because Marcus Zusak's style of writing is particularly noteworthy and particularly important, we could say that the fact he's writing about words using such beautiful language stands out as the textual element that we need to address here. When you're looking for these different elements in the wording of a topic, you're breaking it down. There's no specific approach to doing it, but here's a suggested one that we're going to use in class. If you're doing it on paper, follow these steps. Circle the idea words and phrases first. Double underline any perspective words or phrases next. Then find your limiting words by putting brackets around them. Draw arrows between words connected by commas and connectives. Then underline any textual elements, and finally annotate if needed. If you're on a computer, we need to change some of the elements up a little bit. You can follow a similar process, but instead of circling, we're going to highlight ideas. Instead of double underlining, we're going to bold the perspectives. We're still going to add brackets around limiting words, but then we're going to use a second color to highlight commas and connectives. And then go back to just regular underlining for textual elements. Any annotation we do needs to be done as dot points underneath. Now, you might notice that there's no highlighting involved in the paper version. And there's two major reasons for this. Firstly, often you don't have a set of highlighters at hand. This method means that all you need is a pen or a pencil. And secondly, taking lids off and on and putting them back wastes precious seconds when you need to do it under pressure in something like a GAT or a SAC, or if you're a year 12, an end of year examination. So if we get into the habit of it, you can make the process of breaking down topics fast and efficient. So next time you see an essay topic, try to find these different elements and see how it influences what you might write about.